What happened at Grenfell, that was an act of war. The murder of innocent people who died because they're poor. Hundreds of deaths, and you could bet that there'll be more, so if you think that you survived it, I wouldn't be so sure. Maybe you thought you knew what redevelop meant, but if you believe that we develop, please develop sense. If you live in social housing, you'll be redeveloped next, and then we'll all be redeveloped till we're redeveloped dead. What happened at Grenfell, that wasn't just tragic. It was a deliberate attack. It was managed. The people want justice, and trust me, they'll have it. And part of that is asking how and why it happened. So to start, the fire alarms weren't active. There was no second staircase for fire exit access. No sprinklers were fitted when the renovation happened. There was no access for fire trucks, but there was the cladding. The cladding wasn't safe, but they chose it because it's cheaper. Only buy £2 for every square metre. The cladding was the reason that the building burnt so quick, but they still chose it because people's lives aren't worth shit. So now we've established some of how it happened. It's time to examine who approved that use of cladding. So the cladding at the start came from Omnis Exterior, who, when they sold it, will have known it was inferior. Harley Facades bought it and installed it for Ryden, the lead contractor in the process that supplied them. Ryden worked directly for KC TMO. The TMO managed the building for the council owned the building, well, as far as we all know, so I'd say the council is one of those accountable. They're accountable because people gave them warnings. All formal avenues to change have been exhausted. There's proof that Grenfell Action Group offered them a platitude of warnings they sent to them for years before this. This is war, and it's time to take your gloves off. If you want revenge, there's many names to get your tongues on, very many companies and many hands with blood on, but we won't let any of them devils pass the buck on. Let's focus our attentions on those companies I mentioned, sit them down, surround them, and ask them these questions. 1. Did any of them raise any concerns? And if so, who did they raise the concerns to? 2. Did any of them receive concerns? And if so, how did they act on what they knew? These are key questions in the investigation, and suspects need to evidence their answers to the nation. They need to be able to back up every single explanation, and if they're found guilty in this investigation, I don't want to see resignations or fines. They need to go to jail for a very long time. But right now, while the victims grieve, those whose representatives left them on the street, we've seen a huge community meet their immediate needs, and now they need housing with instant guarantees. There's 1,400 empty homes in Kensington. While homeless people beg for them, that's negligence. The government need to buy them all and turn them into council stock, and then they should supply them all and keep them all at council costs. We need local, social housing for the victims, not in hotels, real places they can live in. Long-term homes that are fit for kids and women, and then they need the needs fund to cover their basic living. For clothing, for school uniforms to be replaced, for every single funeral respecting every faith, for new official documents, for licenses and passports, for food, for travel, for anything they ask for, and everything they need, like foster parents for the orphans. Workers need to have their jobs and pensions protected, undocumented people also need to be supported, and students with exams need their circumstance respected. Then whilst we're doing that, we need to look at your housing. If you're living on a block, your block is one of 4,000. Are you at risk too? Is your family next? Well, May ordered tests, and the tests said yes. If you're at risk right now, organise a rent strike. Don't pay a penny to your landlord protects your life. I'll say that again. You need to organise a rent strike. Don't pay a penny to your landlord protects your life. And don't let them try to demolish your estate. They'll use this to justify it, saying you're not safe. They've been doing it for years, they did it to my mates, and estate regeneration isn't what it says. They'll smash down your home, you'll get dashed out and cashed in. You'll be on the street in a click, it happens that quick. You won't be on fire, but your life will be in ashes. To tell them they should refurb, and don't let them chat shit. So now we've identified some of what to do next. We need a lot of money to take the next few steps. I can hear the Tories ask where we'll get the funds from. Well, thanks for asking. I'll tell you where it comes from. Amazon, Apple, Google, Eon, eBay, they pay less tax than even you and me pay. Every year, they avoid $1 billion in tax. So I say we take every pound of that. And then we make them pay their tax every year. The murderers, they're one of the reasons that Grenfell happened. The government say there's no money for our services, but there's no money because they don't pay their taxes. It wasn't just Grenfell that suffered mass victims. Every single day we're seeing Grenfell killings. We're suffering corruption in the Grenfell system. This isn't Great Britain, this is Grenfell, Britain. The disabled are on fire. They're burying the workers. The elderly are choking. Your teachers are in hearses. Students are on fire next to doctors and nurses. Your hospitals, even the fire station's burning. It doesn't take an expert to work out the remedy. Stop cutting funds and instead cut austerity. I'm not an expert, but it doesn't seem hard. I can only speak for me, but I'd suggest these demands. All tower blocks need sprinklers fitted, with fire alarms using integrated systems. We need compulsory yearly fire risk assessments, because at the moment they only recommend them. Inspections should be undertaken by the fire service, not by the TMO. This is their downfall. All TMOs should be instantly dissolved and accountability should return to the council. No more self-certifying safety checks. Anyone could do a week and take these tests. There should be a second staircase with instant application, and then we need to vote that homes be fit for habitation. Then we need a change in housing regulations. Recommendations should be legal obligations, and the regs need to have retrospective application because most social housing was built before they came in. Then reinstate legal aid, perhaps the worst injustice. They put a price on life. Don't let them put a price on justice. Their screams are burnt into our minds and their names into our hearts. The fire might be out, but a rage has been sparked. It's a rage that will blaze on every street with every march. There won't be a day of peace until justice comes to pass. Because it wasn't just Grenfell that suffered mass victims. Every single day we're seeing Grenfell killings. We're suffering corruption in the Grenfell system. This isn't Great Britain, this is Grenfell, Britain.